Hello everybody, it's Stewart A. Swerdlow
And Diane Mourglia-Swerdlow.
for Expansions.com, and this is our news podcast for the very last week of November 2012. And I want you to remember back to June of this year, 2012, and on all the major world news networks there was a big celebration about how Mubarak in Egypt was thrown out of office and prosecuted. And then the Egyptians had put into power a new president, Mohamed Morsi, who said that he would change Egypt, bring equality to everybody, and basically make Egypt back into its ancient glory. Well, look what's happened since then. Just in the last couple of weeks alone, Mohamed Morsi has taken dictatorial control over the entire country, and in fact has become a worse dictator than the accusations ever hurled against Mubarak. Which leads us to go back to my original idea that perhaps the entire Arab so-called spring is really quite the opposite of what the world has perceived it to be, or I should say, quite the opposite of what the global media has wanted you to believe that it was. Look at all the countries that have gone through the Arab Spring. Tunisia is now still under dictatorial government. Algeria, nothing's changed there. Libya, there is no government. There's chaos going on. Egypt is now a military dictatorship. Yemen, crime in the streets, people being raped and pillaged. Syria, I don't even have to tell you about that. This is the Arab Spring that everybody has been so thrilled about. Hello everybody, it's quite the opposite. It's an Arab cold winter, and in fact the destruction of the Arab civilization, and we can only imagine, as I'm going to show you, who was behind it and who orchestrated this whole thing as a scam on the public. For example, we have a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, which was brokered by Morsi. Well, that's not something that a anti-Israeli dictator would do unless there was some kind of connection to the Israelis. He is also very close friends with the Prime Minister of Turkey and the Secretary General of the United Nations. So something going on with that connection as well. But here's the real clue. Hillary Clinton heaped praise on Morsi, suggesting he has stepped up to the plate to rebuild Egypt's pivotal role in the region. Well, if Hillary Clinton praises a military, or I should say a dictator, that she helped put in power, that really explains everything that's going on.
Well, isn't that just telling when it says that she's saying that he's the pivotal role?
Well, what I'm saying here is that that statement alone is a proof of who put him in power and why. And I'm sure that the Mossad and the NSA and maybe KGB all have a role in all of this behind the scenes. And to further bolster that idea, Egypt received $4.8 billion in cash from the International Monetary Fund just recently. And you can add to that, because 10 days before that, the European Union gave them $6.4 billion. Now, why would EU and the International Monetary Fund give billions and billions of dollars to a dictatorship? Isn't that why they got rid of Gaddafi? Didn't they stop sending money to those dictatorships? Something is rotten in Egypt. Well, something's always rotten in Egypt, actually. And the population, and I quote, believe their revolution has been hijacked. Well, people in Egypt, there never was a revolution. It was a staged event to change their government to accommodate the New World Order. So I'm sorry to tell you that you've been duped.
Well, that's what happens to every country. They start out something with the populace and manipulate and turn them.
And so we will see this happen in Syria as well. They're just playing it out. But you know what has been avoided totally is that there's a huge revolution in the Congo, in Africa, and thousands and thousands of people are being killed every week. There's not one drop of it on the news. The media is not covering it. Why? Because no one gives a darn what happens in Central Africa. They're not that important to the New World Order right now. But after the consolidation of North Africa, Middle East, Central Asia into the New World Order empire, then they can focus attention on Africa, and that will become a major spot in the news as well. Now, I want to shift gears to another global event that's not being discussed very much in the media, and that is so-called disturbing evidence that HAARP project, which you know about, has been weaponized. A Brazilian physicist, Dr. Fran de Aquino, recently asserted that fully functional HAARP network is, and I quote, not only modifying weather and geophysical events, it may also be warping space and gravity, even time. And there are applications of Nikola Tesla's legendary death ray weapon that may have been activated. So many people have been writing into me and telling me just casually on the side how odd they feel, how strange the weather has been. They feel movement in the ground, but it's not being recorded anywhere. People all over the world are telling me the same story. And in fact, it gets more interesting because according to this, the HAARP high-frequency radio waves can be intensified, modulated, and directed to almost any place on Earth, and according to Tesla himself, could change warfare forever. Now, one of the things that it does is it focuses radio frequencies to disrupt the bonds that keep molecules together using nonlinear effects of intense radiated power. So basically what that means is an intense burst of electromagnetic focalized energy disperses the molecules that hold things together and vaporizes them. And how have we seen this on the Earth right in front of our eyes? Well, how about the mysterious disappearance in the Gulf of Mexico of a Mexican island named Mourglia, which was there one day and quite simply disappeared the next. And this has never been explained by anyone. Of course, the official explanation is global warming. There's that global warming, and I think now it's starting to make more sense. All these years promoting global warming as the cause of everything, so that no matter what they do with this HAARP weapon, they'll just blame it on global warming because they told you it's global warming. However, the Gulf of Mexico has not risen measurably water since 2009 when the island disappeared, and the seafloor has not dropped. So that is not an explanation for the disappearance of the island.
But it's also interesting that that's all over the internet now. It's nothing secret, and we have talked about disappearing bodies of land. And now perhaps this is entering into the frequency to help people understand that the land can disappear and reappear.
Well, the thing is, in September 2009, it was reported that the island of Mourglia vanished, even though it had been on maps for centuries. The Mexican government sent out planes and boats and used satellites to try to find it, but came up with nothing. It is claimed the island inexplicably vanished. Or was it unexplained? Because at the time the island ceased to exist, according to reports in and around the Gulf of Mexico, shimmering rainbow clouds formed and massive chemtrails sprayed over the place, and sailors in the area reported mysterious vortices and bizarre light refractions in the sky, which could be telltale signs of HAARP experiments or transmissions. And then the island vanished. Well, that wasn't the only place, people, because there is a little tiny island between India and Bangladesh that is claimed by both and has been a source of irritation, even political wars over it. It was called New Moor Island. Well, guess what? That vanished without a trace as well. So what's going on with these islands disappearing? First of all, I should also tell you that investigators of HAARP facilities in Alaska and Peru, and by the way, there are 13 HAARP facilities now, 13, there's that number again, believe that the radiated power is approaching 10 billion watts. That is the kind of energy that could vaporize islands and mountains and even entire cities. Now, Tesla created this weapon over 90 years ago. And what the article in this Brazilian magazine says is that its system can be used for knocking down missiles and aircraft by affecting their guidance systems and creating atmospheric disturbances which lead to them crashing. And they also talked about sending that energy into the ionosphere to detect cruise missiles and other incoming objects by looking down on them. And I want you to remember, I guess it was back in the late 1990s when that Swiss aircraft flying from JFK to Geneva with all the UN personnel on board that were going to reveal about the AIDS virus, and the plane crashed off the coast of Nova Scotia, totally intact. And when they lifted it from the bottom of the seafloor, they found the top of the plane completely scorched, as if something from above burned it. And here it says, to look down from the ionosphere and use this weapon from the top down. So that could have been.
It's also interesting to me about all the Navy fighters that are always being knocked out of the sky. I mean, every time we turn around.
A lot of things. What about that plane, the Air France from Brazil to Paris that just went straight down, boom, no explanation.
These may be tests as well.
And they just blame it on pilot error. Whenever they don't want you to know, blame it on pilot error. The pilots had nothing to do with it. Now, here's something from December 8th, 1915. Nikola Tesla said that that his invention is a parallel of Thor's shooting thunderbolts from the sky to punish those who angered the gods. That was 1915. Transpose the word gods to New World Order or Illuminati. And he said that this invention will go through space at the speed of 300 miles per second. That's quite amazing. And that was 1915. That was almost 100 years ago. I'm sure they have improved it since then. But it gets worse, people, because in the New York Times of September 22nd, 1940, Nikola Tesla said he was going to divulge to the United States government the secret of his teleforce, which he called it, which he said airplane motors would be melted at a distance of 250 miles. So, that was 1940. Add 72 years to that as far as advancements. Also, Tesla said that this new type of force would operate through a beam. Now listen to this. 100 millionth of a square centimeter in diameter, so it can't be seen, and could be generated from a special plant that would cost no more than $2 million and would take only 3 months to construct. Now, I want you to think about that, people, and I want you to think about 9/11, the collapse of the buildings, other things that have happened. Now it starts to make a little more sense, doesn't it, people? And Tesla had some requirements which have been achieved by HAARP. First of all, it can be used to generate tremendous electrical force. It can be a weapon that is tuned, amplified, and directed against armies, ships, aircraft, cities, and perhaps islands. And it also holds the promise of creating a barrier or repellent that can stop aircraft or missiles that are headed towards a particular target. But it gets even more fascinating, people, because another island has disappeared, and that is the island named Sandy, which is located between Australia and the French-owned New Caledonia. Now, it's been on the map for hundreds of years. It is the size of Manhattan Island, so it's not that tiny. And scientists were looking for it and said it doesn't exist. The explanation? The island never existed, and the maps were all in error. So all the maps that existed for hundreds of years that showed a Manhattan-sized island close to Australia just were fake. Oh, okay, we'll all believe that. I'm sure most of the people out there will believe it. When crews of ocean-going vessels have seen Sandy several times since the year 2000 alone.
Well, you know what? Here we have Hurricane Sandy, now we have the island Sandy, and they're almost on opposite sides of the globe, right?
Well,
and of course we have Santa Claus.
But I want people to think about this. The 2012 end of the world scenario, the cataclysms, lands disappearing. Well, now you can see they can make that happen artificially. It's not anything from Book of Revelation or Wrath of God. It's the wrath of the Illuminati and New World Order, who pinpoint certain locations and destroy them and make entire islands vanish. Now, what if there were people living on those islands? There could have been millions of people. Size of Manhattan, 1 million people on the island of Manhattan, vanished. Imagine that. And then they never existed. Manhattan never existed.
Well, it's interesting that you even say that, because we were reading, remember, on the news about some of the 10 most mysterious things. There were like legions of Roman soldiers that vanished. I mean, there are all kinds of people that have vanished, huge groups of civilizations and people that have vanished throughout history, and perhaps, and you're talking about Nikola Tesla's things, but these things, this is Atlantean, Lemurian technology.
And Tesla claimed to have been in contact with alien beings who gave him some of the information.
Yes.
And so it's very possible that the aliens used such weapons in ancient times as well.
Absolutely.
And so did the Atlanteans. But just as a quote from a news agency called naturalnews.com, they kind of said what I have been telling you all along, and that is Cuba, Venezuela, Russia, and China now have more media freedom than the United States, and more personal freedoms than the United States. For example, in California, a man was thrown in jail for videotaping police officers, just outside taking pictures of video, and he was put in jail for that. Another man was put in jail and raided at gunpoint his business for selling unpasteurized milk. Boy, selling milk is a crime, isn't it? Real organic milk. And they destroyed $50,000 worth of fresh food in his place of business. That could have fed a lot of hungry people. Is the United States a free country? I don't think so. And here's another interesting quote from this news organization. It said, 50% of the American people, cementing an obvious communist into the top position. You know who that is. And it also proves that the American people want to be enslaved. You know what? I think that they do, because they just don't understand or know any better, and they wear blinders on.
I think, too, they're very confused right now. All the things that's being beamed at them, and the general population does not know how to protect themselves, how to hold on to their source, the things that we're teaching, they don't know, and therefore they're absolutely just affected by what's going on.
It's very sad what happened in the United States, and according to this news agency, it also says that even North Korea, China, and even in the darkest times of Nazi Germany, that they never treated the media and their population in the way that the United States is treating not only its people, but foreigners who come here and are afraid to come here now. But switching gears again, I want to give you this very interesting story. Do you remember in my Blue Blood book, I talked about Bigfoot. And I said, I believe it was in that book, I said that Bigfoot was an Atlantean hybridization experiment between human beings and bear frequency.
I know that you did in the paranormal DVD series that we have. I don't know about Blue Blood.
So now we have a team of scientists in Texas who said that Bigfoot or Sasquatch, they tested the DNA from hair and other samples that have been left behind, and they said Sasquatch is a human relative that arose approximately 15,000 years ago as a hybrid cross between Homo sapiens and an unknown species. Well, that perfectly matches what I told you years ago in Blue Blood. 15,000 years ago, Atlantean experiment. The study used 20 whole mitochondrial genomes and sequenced them, and shows that the Sasquatch mitochondrial DNA is identical to modern Homo sapiens.
So now they're saying Sasquatch exists.
Yes, and that also the nuclear DNA is of an unknown species, possibly related to Homo sapiens or primates. Well, what can I tell you, people? It says finally that genetically the Sasquatch are a human hybrid with unambiguously modern human maternal ancestry. Well, the more they study, the more everything I wrote about years ago and was ridiculed for it, now it's proven true. So not that I'm blasting my own horn, but I'm just telling you, the information's correct.
No, I think we should tell people that this is correct, and we have been correct all along, because if we don't, they're just, as we know, there's always going to be the critics out there, which, so what? At this point, we still do the correct thing.
Well, now that the pretty one has spoken, it's your turn.
All right, well, I have lots of interesting things for you.
Is it about sex again?
A lot of sex stuff this time, so you may actually have to hold your ears or leave the room.
Or other parts.
Yeah, leave the room, because I do have some stuff.
Okay, I'm listening.
But we're going to start out with, all of this is a little bit controversial, and the reason, again, I bring this up is because I want you to see, again, like what you've been telling them, we talk about the human psyche, how you're manipulated, how that they move you this way and that way, what they do with technology, how they bend the frequencies and so forth. So I'm putting these things out there for you because, again, I want you to see the trends. So the first thing is vegetarianism, and again, I'm going to tell all of you who think we should be vegetarians. Do not write in and tell us how wonderful it is, because again, unless you can see energy fields, which we can, people can appear one way, but they're really not that way when you take a look at the energy fields. So.
And just as again, I'll say the so-called vegetarian animals, they're not. They eat protein and insects and bugs and small animals. They're not vegetarian.
Not the true ones, but the claim that they are. Anyway, I wanted to kind of backtrack just a hair to our American Thanksgiving, because one of the first things that they blasted all over the media here was 50 stars who won't be eating a turkey feast on Thanksgiving. I'm not going to list those for you, but the point is they have all these public icons who are vegetarian, and they're telling you how wonderful that is. Personally, when I sit down at Thanksgiving dinner, I want a turkey in the middle of my table.
And that usually means me, but that's another story.
There you go. So no vegetarianism, but they're putting that out there for you. Then, again, Thanksgiving advice. We're going to go now into some of the sex stuff that you love.
Okay.
There was a story, it was called How to Bring Your Boyfriend Home for the Holidays. And the woman said how upset her mother was and wouldn't let her bring her boyfriend home because she thought that was wrong for her to bring her boyfriend and her husband and her children. So the word that's out there, which we've heard before now on and off through the years, is polyamorous.
Does that mean people who like parrots?
Yes, people who like parrots.
Yeah.
So again, there's nothing wrong with anything as long as it's from within you and not artificially manufactured. We know people who are polyamorous, and that's their thing. We don't judge them one way or another. That's their thing. But they're putting it out for you to follow suit.
Are you going to bring your boyfriend home to dinner?
I might. Because the thing is, they're going for the group sex, which we will get more into that as we progress through my stories.
Like you and me?
No. No, the stories.
Oh.
Okay, I have also talked to you before about the fecal transplants.
Oh my God.
I
thought that was over already.
No, they're bringing that up more and more. Now we have a woman who actually transplanted her own stool into her 2-year-old son, Jesse. And so far, he's the youngest person ever to receive a fecal transplant. And I did send this out. I haven't heard back.
It's even upsetting the dog.
I guess.
That story.
I sent this out to a medical doctor that I know who's on the alternative side. Because I'm curious to see what this medical doctor has to say about this. Because to me, it sounds like there ought to be other ways to repopulate the intestinal tract. So in case I'm missing something. Yes, but again, people pooping on each other, we talked about that before, is a sexual activity. It's a deviant thing.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's just
I can't remember what they call them.
But vulgar.
But they do that and urinate on each other. It's part of S&M, I think. Okay, then we have erotic zoos, believe it or not. Yes, I know, all kinds of things.
Isn't that called New York City?
Well, these are called animal brothels, where they actually train the animals to have sex with humans. And apparently, there were bestiality laws.
Polyamorous parrots.
Yeah, it must be. Bestiality laws have been off the books in Germany since 1969. However, we now have that the agriculture minister in Germany has agreed to support a law that would make it illegal for people to use animals, this is quote, use animals for their own sexual activities or sexual acts of third parties. It will also ban the pimping of animals to other, because apparently in Germany at least there's been a rise of what they call erotic zoos, where people can visit these zoos to abuse animals ranging from llamas to goats. And they said, this has ruffled the feathers of zoophilia advocates. I guess that's another thing for people who use beasts for this purpose.
These people need to go online dating.
Yeah, they said that apparently they should not have mere morals have no place in law. That's before people.
But you know what that really is
this.
about? Those are people who are going into their animal alters and programming,
Yes.
and then they're following the functions related to that.
Right.
So that's really what that's about.
Right.
These people need to deprogram, and the dogs are agreeing with that
guess
because
so.
they're in their animal alter right now.
Well, and also on the holiday blog, which I have online on the public side, I also wrote about animal alters and things that are coming up for people. So you want to, again, there's reasons why this is out there and ways that it can activate people that you don't want to. Apparently, there's veterinarians against zoophilia. Thank God somebody's against it. Said that thousands of Germans exchange information online about sex with animals, and that some farms actually rent out animals for sexual exploitation.
Now, people, that is not very German people in Germany. I'm very surprised at you.
Yeah, but this is just one country. So if you multiply this, it's like the way they're making it sound is like rampant, and they want it to sound that way because they want this as part of New World Religion sexual programming. Okay, then we have sexual cannibalism, when one partner kills and eats the other during copulation.
Don't you even try that.
There's actually a new series by Dr. Karen Bonder. I haven't checked her out, so you can look that up. It's a new web series titled Wild Sex, and apparently sexual cannibalism will be a part of that. And then they said that also will show 11-day copulation among soapberry bugs, like who wants to watch that? And the world's longest penis, close your ears, 45 feet.
Oh my God. Who has that?
I don't know. It doesn't say. You have to watch the show. They just tell you, and you can go again. You can go research that if you care enough to research. But these are the things they're putting
that could
out
be like
there.
Whoever that is, he can like do everybody.
I guess.
At once.
At once.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then we have, we're going to go back and forth a little bit, but we have a zombie calendar. I told you last time about these half-naked women or fully naked women that the Pope was upset about. The Catholic Church
He's just
spoke
upset
against
because he doesn't have them.
Well, maybe he does, and then he doesn't want them being shown.
No, he likes the naked little boys.
Well, that's what I hear. So the zombie...
Well, actually, he's German. He might like the animals.
That's true. You got a point.
Maybe he's running that site.
Maybe,
Hello?
Maybe both at the same time.
Now he figured it just out, you know?
Boys and the Pope and the animal zoos.
The Pope, poop, animals. Makes sense to me.
You've got it going. Okay, the zombie calendar, which is a promotion for this show, which I've heard of this on and off, but not researched it, called The Walking Dead. So anyway, a South African ad agency had the brainy idea to create a zombie swimsuit calendar. So anyway, this features models dressed up to look like cadaverous cuties, it's called.
Why would I want to look at a dead person in a bathing suit?
I don't know.
Why would I want to do that?
Well, I'll tell you why. Let's see. Here we have. In Sweden, this is going to jump over here for a second.
It's upsetting right now. It's
I was
okay.
gonna sneeze.
Go on. It's okay. Take a moment.
Okay. A woman was charged for allegedly having sex with a skeleton.
Ooh, that must hurt.
I guess, but this woman...
Talk about a boner.
Yeah, that's what they said in the article.
Yeah.
But we haven't heard this one before, not the sex with the skeleton. So this is a new one they're putting on. This is in Sweden.
Well, at least he would remain hard the entire time.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
They have pictures. This is a 37-year-old woman accused of necrophilia. Now we've got zoophilia, necrophilia, all this stuff going on.
I like those philias.
Who was formally charged at the Gothenburg District Court for the crime of violating the peace of the dead.
Ha! What piece?
A piece of bone.
Peace.
A piece of bone.
Yeah.
Okay, the police, this I don't understand. The police were initially notified that a gunshot had been fired from the woman's apartment. Maybe she was killing
Make
people.
sure it was dead. They're
I
trying to
guess.
make sure the skeleton was dead.
This led to the alleged discovery, how come it's not a real discovery? They aren't. Alleged discovery of 100 skeleton parts in her apartment.
Ooh, she's a busy lady.
Now, she said she had it for historical research, but the police found a CD titled My Necrophilia, and they had photographs of the woman being intimate with the skeleton parts. Okay, she also had photos of morgues and chapels and documents about how to have sex with the recently deceased and otherwise dead people. And then They also found pictures from a morgue and discovered a concealed compartment in the woman's home along with body bags and a drill.
A drill?
A drill. So that's, I don't know what she's doing with them, but...
Well, at least, with dead people, they're not going to put up a fight.
Well, I don't know, because they had the gunshot thing going on there, so I don't know what happened. But again, this is another way of entering into the frequency, because after a while,
But she's going to be surprised if she picks on a vampire and then he comes back to life.
or a zombie.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like I'm telling you, that again, there's going to come a point, like I said, some of these things I don't even report on because it's not shocking anymore.
Oh, you're reporting on all of it because, my goodness,
The
I
new
had
stuff,
no idea.
the new stuff I keep reporting because I'm putting this out there to show you how they're opening up these frequencies for you. Okay, then we have Helen Mirren, age 67, that's a 13, and Jessica Biel at a Hitchcock premiere. And Helen Mirren, apparently she's copying a feel from Jessica Biel. Because Jessica Biel, and I've told you about this before, so you should know these terms, had a side boob. Remember what that one showed? What that one was? I'm going to give you a quiz here.
I remember.
The side boob is when they wear
third.
No, they wear the top. It's just so slim that they can see from this side. They see the front. That was a big thing for a while. Now they see the side. And now this older woman is squeezing the breast of the younger woman.
Well, she doesn't have very much in her life at this point.
Well, I guess.
That's
But
pity
again,
on her,
if a
really.
man was doing it, they would never show that. They would go, oh, but now a woman doing it to another woman, it's like the women kissing each other. And then they have the girl crush thing. And that, again, like the vegetarian turkey stuff, they have all the women who are talking about having girl crushes on certain people. And so, for example, I'm just going to give you one, but there's a whole list on the site that Miley Cyrus, we all know she redid her image. Now she has a girl crush on Kristen Stewart. So all this stuff, again, is coming down the pike.
Well, her father's a vampire, so it's probably why she likes it.
Well, there's even questions about Miley Cyrus and her relationship with her father.
No.
Yes,
Oh,
there are.
don't even tell me.
There are. I'm not going to tell you about that one, but that's been questioned.
Talk about an achy breaky heart.
Yes, it's been questioned. Anyway, then we have Miss District of Columbia. Now this one is one I've told you about for a little bit of time, but this one is not going away. Alan Rose, who is the Miss District of Columbia, when she was 16, she lost her mother to breast cancer. That same disease killed her grandmother and her great aunt. So she voluntarily elected to have a double mastectomy, removing both breasts as a premature measure to decrease her chances of developing the disease. Now, if you watch our stuff, which hopefully you do, you know that breasts have to do with nurturing, and if you fix the mind pattern, there are a lot of things that don't have to happen in your life. But again, and I talked to you about this before, there was a long time when they were doing hysterectomies on women. They don't do that as much anymore because I think they have enough uterus and ovaries now to experiment on. Now they're plucking out healthy breasts so they can use those to experiment on.
Well, I think it's also about androgyny and making people all one
There's
sex.
always many different meanings. And in fact, did you see the show with the cheerleaders shaving their head? Long hair, that's your strength. And here they're shaving their head, they're bald and they're happy, and her friend did it to help her in support of somebody else. So all this has to do with, of course, bringing in the androgynous and making it normal for you now. So more and more people are doing this in show of support, and really it's to make it normal. So this is now what they're doing instead of a lumpectomy. Now they're just taking the breasts, and women are smiling and happy and they're beautiful, and they have lost both their breasts, and they're okay with that. So they want you to be too. All right, then, now this is another thing which again is going on more and more, is children being sexually assaulted. And recently, an Illinois mother filed a lawsuit against her 14-year-old son's school district. First of all, we saw the college with Sandusky. Now we're going down into the high school hazing room stuff. Now this 14-year-old, this is really middle school. Okay, this middle school child, 14 years old, claims that he was sexually assaulted as part of a hazing ritual. Who hazes in a public school? A 14-year-old who was actually held down, his underwear was removed, and he was sodomized. And he was actually taken to the hospital where there was evidence of sodomy, so they have the physical proof. And get this, this was actually sanctioned by the coach. There are about 10 people now who have been taken out of the school district and also a bunch of children, and they're still children, and they're saying that this has been going on for 3 to 4 years. So if this has been going on for 3 to 4 years, why is it just now being reported? Okay, that is the stigma of what happens, plus the people who are doing these things. So again, you must be cautious. You must use your mind protection, your safety protection. Anyway, on to a little bit more interesting things, so to speak. We now have a new study that suggests that the brain, the universe, and the internet are all having similar growth patterns, according to a computer simulation. It says that there's a single fundamental law of nature that may govern these networks. This is being touted by a physicist, Kevin Bassler of the University of Houston, who was not involved in this study but supports the study. The study itself was done by, well, they only list the co-author, Dmitry, no, there's a Russian name,
Kryokov,
a physicist at the University of California in San Diego. The studies show that brain circuits and the internet look a lot alike, and now they're showing how that a computer can predict the way that they grow, and they're saying that they're using Einstein's equations of relativity, which explains how matter warps the fabric of space and time. And physicists can retrace the universe's explosive birth in the Big Bang roughly 14 billion years ago and how it has expanded outward in the eons since. And now they're saying that the networks between large and small is unlikely to be a coincidence. So it's more likely that there's some unknown law that governs the way networks grow and change from the smallest brain cells to the growth of mega galaxies. This result suggests that maybe we should start looking for it, according to one of the co-authors. Now, to me, this is again verifying what we've been saying, that the outer reflects the inner and vice versa, as above, so below, and also universal law which governs everything, which is what we teach you when you study our work. Because again, same song, different verse. So once you know the song, then you can look at the verse and you can pick apart just about anything, and they're really validating this right here in this study. Then we have, of course, the North American Union, which you've talked about for many, many years. Here we have another piece of the puzzle, in my opinion, that there is going to be water sharing. Now, water here in the North America is it's been talked about for many, many years as a resource. And a long time ago, people would sit around and debate at some point, there will be controversy over water. There won't be enough of it to go around. Well, now we have water sharing of the Colorado River. The United States and Mexico actually signed a pact for new rules on sharing water from the Colorado River, which caps a 5-year effort on how to spread the pain of drought and reap the benefits of wet years. Now, if you're in agriculture, or if you're in one of these desert communities, this is vastly, it impacts your life tremendously. The Colorado River actually starts in Colorado, it goes through the Grand Canyon, it goes into California, turns into the border between California, Arizona, and then it actually separates Baja, Mexico from mainland Mexico. So most of this water is in the U.S., but they're finding a way to share it with Mexico. And of course this has to do with opening up the borders between the United States and Mexico and creating one whole North American Union. I also want to bring to your attention back to Hurricane Sandy. Now on my member blog we have been talking about poverty programming, and we have been talking about how to turn that into quote-unquote prosperity punch, and the people there have been doing tremendous work and making tremendous insights, personal insights, because I work with you every day on this particular blog. And here we have Hurricane Sandy, which they're bringing it now to your attention that it calls the headlines are the threat of poverty to thousands of unemployed. Because what is going to happen to these people? They're feeling like they've lost everything, there's nothing that they can do about it, and again they're down and out on their luck, and the more people feel depressed and like they have no personal power, the more they're going to rely on the government and other people to take care of them, instead of recognizing they can go inside, touch into their own personal power, get into their own source. And you know what? If the old has been wiped out, as unfortunate as that is, there's a reason. It's time to step inside and pull out something new and start a new life path. And you can do this in a positive way, as we're learning on the member side of our site, where we're dismantling the poverty programming and we're building up something else. And you know, I had somebody write in and said, when I see your prices, it makes me want to cry because I can't do it. You know what? $8 a month, file a membership, get you the blog. That's where a lot of people start, and they have changed their lives around. $8 a month is all you have to invest in. If you can't do that, $2.99 a week will do it. So there's no excuses. Okay, Sacramento workers find $300,000 in gold dust while installing the heat system. Now, I want to also bring this to your attention for a couple of different reasons. One, these people obviously moved through poverty programming and made it into Prosperity Punch. Otherwise, they wouldn't have found this. The deeper you go inside into your own hidden self, the more things are going to be uncovered in the outer world, because whatever's going on inside has to be reflected in the outer world. And so I am finding people who are revealing more of their own hidden self and actualizing that and turning that into something positive. And in the news we see this every day. People are going to garage sales. They bought something for $5 and it's worth several $100,000 or whatever. The hidden issues, the hidden subjects in this world are revealing themselves for a myriad of reasons. If you follow our work, you'll know them. But I want you to understand the importance of you doing your inner work to reveal what's going on. Now, with that said, we're really getting close to our holiday trip to Suriname.
Right.
And there, I'm calling that a stellar event, because we are going to be revealing
literally
some stellar activities that you may not be aware of. And this is the point on the earth that geographically supports this happening, correct?
Yes.
So, do we still have room for people?
Well, few people signed up just today, so I don't know. If you're interested, you better hurry up, because it is Christmas time and flights get booked and hotels get booked. So you really need to hurry up.
Right, and we're keeping this
today.
Right, and we're keeping it to a bit of a smaller group, because we're going to be doing very intense work. Now, some people are choosing just the Aruba portion, because there are different things that we're going to be doing in Aruba than we're doing in Suriname. However, the two will pull together. If you can do both, that is to your best advantage. If you can't choose whichever one you feel most pulled to, but we are keeping the group a little on the smaller side. But go on the site, what's the name of your article?
Surinamica.
Yeah, that was the one where you kind of gave a few hints what we're going to be doing.
Big hints, yeah.
But we're not going to be revealing everything until we actually get there.
Yes.
So, and that's followed by our January Hyperspace Oversoul Extravaganza. We are going to help you fill in the holes to your foundational mind pattern so that you can move forward in 2013 with confidence in your relationships and your career and your finances and whatever is plaguing you. Again, 2013, January, some people will be staying on for the January class, which you can do if you're coming from far away. Some people like to come around that time for some personal help. Day with Stewart will be opening up again. I believe it's closed now for 2012. Everything is done for Days with Stewart. Those are gone. So lots of things that are happening. Watch the website, see what fits you, and take advantage of that. The free holiday blog, utilize that. If you can, $8 a month will get you everyday help, which we read your questions. Don't write the questions on the YouTube channel, because we do have the silver level membership, $23 a month, which if you respect our time, you can pay $23 a month and you can ask all the questions that you want that apply to the general population. Specific questions needs private consultations, which we have those on sale. So we have a lot of things on sale right now to help you with whatever issues you're having. No excuses at this point in time and space, right?
That's right.
Okay, so lots going on. Enjoy the process. That's what it's all about, is you learning about you. And we're here to help you find your point of personal power. With that said, I'm done.
And I am done as well for today, and we will see you next time on expansions.com. So goodbye for now.
Bye-bye.